Your home burning to the ground is easily one of the most devastating things that can happen to anyone. Everything you worked for, all the memories, gone. But sometimes people lose more than memories and objects. They lose members of their family. But what if that was all a lie? Let's talk about it. The young couple, Luceida Sueves, who was only called Luz, and her boyfriend Pedro Vera had just welcomed their little baby girl, Delimar, into the world. Everything seemed perfect, until the entire world burned down in less than 30 minutes. Their house, gone. Nothing but ash and rubble. But even worse, their only 10-day-old daughter was also gone. According to the firefighters, the child perished in the flames. But Luz did not believe them. She knew her daughter didn't die in the fire. And while from the outside this might look like nothing more than a grieving mother not willing to accept reality, as it would turn out, she was right. It all started the day before the fire, on December the 14th, 1997, when the doorbell in their little house in Philadelphia was ringing. The one on the other side of the door was a young woman neither of them had seen in a long time. Caroline, the stepdaughter of Petro's uncle. Petro himself later recounted that he hadn't seen her in 4 or 5 years, and he thought it was extremely strange that she suddenly turned up and wanted to see his daughter. Nonetheless, the couple was still happy to welcome her in and show off their new baby girl. Caroline stayed for a couple of hours, and in the evening, when it was time for her to go, she suddenly told them her car wasn't working. To be more specific, the brakes of her car. And she begged Petro for help. But since it was already late, the couple offered her a place to sleep on their couch, so Petra could fix the car in the morning. But when the two got up the next day, she was gone. She wouldn't stay gone for long though. In the early evening, she turned back up on their doorstep. Now she had a different story. She was offering to help Petra get a job. She knew someone that was hiring. Petra had just lost his and was in desperate need of a new one. There was no more talk of her having any car trouble. She told them that the job interview was time sensitive and they had to go immediately, and that she would drive him. So the two went, but halfway to this job interview, she told him that she forgot her purse at his house. And for some reason, instead of both of them driving back, she just dropped Petro off at a cousin's house. Well, she drove back alone. Luz, of course, welcomed the young woman in again. Caroline told her she forgot her purse, and then she asked her if she could use the upstairs bathroom. Once she came back down, the woman actually had a bit of small talk, before Luz went upstairs to check on her daughter. There, she noticed that Caroline actually moved her daughter from the grip into her bassinet. Luz, of course, went back downstairs to confront the younger woman, who asserted that she only did it because she thought the baby wasn't safe in the bed. Before Luz could question this anymore, they were interrupted by a big bang from upstairs. A fire had broken out in one of the bedrooms. Luz, of course, immediately raced back upstairs to get her daughter, while the whole house was rapidly filling with smoke. But the desperate mother couldn't find her baby anywhere. She later recounted that there was one thing she noticed, that the window in her baby's room was wide open, and she never left that window open. Luz was ultimately dragged out of the house by the fire patrol that had arrived. Petro, meanwhile, was alerted by some of his relatives that his house was on fire, and he also raced back home. When he got there, Luz was already inconsolable, telling him that the little girl was gone. Before Petro could race inside himself, he was stopped by one of the firemen, who actually hugged the young father, apologized, and told him that the baby was dead. And that's when he saw one of the firemen carry a small bundle, wrapped in yellow foil, out of the house. Now, you might ask yourself where Caroline went. Well, she disappeared, without a word, while the firefighters were still trying to get the flames under control. The relationship of the couple broke apart after that. The loss of their daughter was too great for them to manage. They did have another child, though, before their breakup in 2002. A son. Petro, the entire time, blamed himself because he put a cheap heater in one of the rooms, and the firefighters told him that it was likely the cause for the fire. Luz, on the other hand, was fully convinced that her daughter was not dead. And as it turned out, she would be right. Luz had 2 other sons from her previous relationship, and one of them got invited to a birthday party. And there, Luz sees a girl, and for some reason she just knew that that was her daughter. So she actually talked to the little girl at this party, who was just 6 years old, and who told Luz that her name was Alia Hernandez. When the little girl pointed out her mother, Luz was fully convinced that she was talking to her long-lost daughter, because the woman the little girl was pointing out was none other than Caroline herself. Now in this moment, Luz knew that this might be her only chance to find out the truth. So she pretended that the little girl had some bubblegum stuck in her hair. A ruse. So she could rip some hair out. Luz immediately left the party after that. She picked up her son and went, because she did not want to risk Caroline seeing her, panicking and taking off with the little girl. The next day, Luz went to the police, and she told them everything. Not only the story of the fire, but also of her terrible suspicion. And while at first they were of course skeptical, they did investigate. Caroline, as it turned out, had only lived 25 minutes away from Luz herself. Detectives got involved and they confronted Caroline. And they also ordered a DNA test, because the hair Luz had ripped out was missing the root, so it couldn't be tested. And something must have told the detectives that Luz was right, because they ordered for the girl to be removed from Caroline's house until the DNA test got back. And a mother's intuition is apparently always right. Aaliyah was her daughter. Caroline, of course, got trialed and put into prison for arson and child abduction. And the little girl was finally reunited with her real parents. But a lot of the story is still missing, because Caroline kept her mouth shut. She definitely had help that day getting the child out of the house. There was also never an answer to which remains the firefighters allegedly found in the house. Were they actually remains? And if yes, whose were they? Or did they lie, so the parents had something to bury? Aaliyah got her old name back, Delimar. Unfortunately, she struggled for a long time with her old and new identity. And Caroline, who went to prison in 2005, actually got out on probation in 2014. But to this day, she has never spilled her secret on what really happened that day and who helped her. Or even why she did what she did. This is definitely a case where, while there is a happy ending, most of the questions remain unanswered.